Zola Washington had always been good at seeing what others ignored. At 24, she had spent her life observing, first in the crowded apartments of Atlanta, where her single mother juggled 3 jobs to keep the lights on, and now in the gleaming penthouse of Boston's elite. Hired as a maid 4 months ago, Zola's role was simple: clean, organize, disappear. But the cries from the nursery shattered that illusion. The billionaire's newborn, little Theo, wouldn't stop wailing. It wasn't the usual infant fussiness, it was a desperate rhythmic plea that echoed through the gold-leafed walls. Doctors, top-tier specialists flown in on private jets, found nothing. 3 nannies had quit in quick succession, each citing personal reasons in hushed tones. Zola, with her spotless black uniform and white apron, wasn't supposed to intervene, but one midnight, as the screams pierced the silence again, she couldn't stay away. Pushing open the nursery door, Zola found Lillian Carrington huddled in the rocking chair, her silk nightgown rumpled, eyes rimmed with exhaustion. Dexter Carrington loomed in the doorway, his broad shoulders tense, expensive watch glinting under the crystal chandelier. "Handle it," he snapped at Lillian before retreating to his office, phone in hand. Zola approached the crib cautiously. Theo thrashed against the satin sheets, his tiny fists clenched, face flushed. The mattress sagged slightly under his weight, imperceptible to most, but Zola had cared for her cousins back home. She pressed a hand to it, feeling the uneven firmness. Lifting the corner, she saw the frame, wood weakened by unseen moisture, a loose bracket pressing through like a hidden blade. "Mrs. Carrington," Zola said softly, "this crib isn't safe. The frame's rotting. It's hurting him." Lillian's eyes widened, but she glanced toward the hallway where Dexter's voice boomed on a call. "The doctor said he's fine. It's just colic." Zola shook her head. "Colic doesn't leave marks." She gently lifted Theo's onesie, revealing faint red lines on his back, pressure points from nights of discomfort. Lillian flinched, but her voice hardened. "Don't overreact. We'll get it fixed tomorrow." She took Theo awkwardly, rocking him with mechanical motions, her gaze distant. That night, Zola couldn't sleep. She texted her mother in Atlanta, "Something's wrong here. The baby's suffering and they act like it's nothing." Her mother's reply was swift. "Trust your gut, baby girl, but be careful. Rich folks don't like being told they're wrong." The next day, Zola overheard Dexter in his office. "Another nanny? No, we can't afford more turnover. Just make her sign the NDA like the others." Zola's blood ran cold. She started paying closer attention, not just to the baby, but to the family. Lillian was a ghost in her own home. Once a rising star from a Mississippi trailer park, she'd married Dexter and ascended to society pages. But now, at 32, she moved like a shadow. Dexter's words were sharp, laced with subtle barbs. "You look tired, Lil. Try to pull yourself together for the gala." Or, "The nannies quit because you micromanage. Let professionals handle it." Lillian would shrink, nodding, her smiles forced. Zola saw the isolation. Lillian's phone rarely rang with friends. Her days were filled with spa appointments and charity luncheons, but her eyes were hollow. One afternoon, while dusting the master bedroom, Zola found a bottle of pills, antidepressants, half empty. Lillian walked in, freezing. "That's private." "I'm sorry," Zola said, but she didn't back down. "Mrs. Carrington, Theo needs more than a new crib. He needs parents who see him." Lillian's facade cracked. "You think I don't see him? Dexter says it's normal for babies to cry. He says I'm being dramatic, like my mother was." Zola paused. "Is that what he tells you?" Lillian sank onto the bed. "He handles everything, the business, the decisions. I just follow." Her voice trembled. "The nannies saw it too, the crib, the cries, but Dexter convinced me they were exaggerating. He paid them to leave quietly." Zola's heart ached.
This wasn't just neglect, it was a fracture running through the marriage, poisoning everything. Dexter's emotional control kept Lillian paralyzed, too afraid to challenge him, too depressed to bond with Theo. The toxic air seeped into the nursery, amplifying the baby's distress. Stress hormones, disrupted sleep, a cycle of pain. Over the next weeks, Zola became Theo's quiet guardian. She fixed the crib herself with tools from the maintenance closet, monitoring the humidity that caused the rot, a leaky vent Dexter had dismissed as minor. But she went further. During Lillian's rest hours, Zola would sit with her, sharing stories of her own mother. She worked non-stop, but she always made time for hugs. That's what kids remember, not the money. Lillian listened, her defenses softening. One evening, as Theo cooed in Zola's arms, Lillian reached out tentatively. "Can I hold him?" Zola handed him over, guiding her hands. "Like this. Feel his weight. Talk to him." Lillian's eyes filled with tears. "He's so warm. I haven't held him like this in weeks." As days passed, Zola built an alliance. She encouraged Lillian to call her estranged mother in Mississippi, listening as the conversation turned from awkward to tearful reconciliation. "She said she misses me," Lillian whispered afterward. "Dexter always said family like mine would drag us down." Zola nodded. "Families lift you up if you let them." The previous nanny's stories emerged in fragments. Zola found their numbers in discarded notes, calling them discreetly. Maria, the first, said, "It wasn't just the crib. Mr. Carrington yelled at Mrs. C for babying the child. She withdrew more each day." Sarah added, "The household stress affected the baby. Cortisol levels spike in toxic environments. I documented it, but they threatened my license." Zola compiled notes, not for confrontation, but for leverage. She knew rushing to authorities might shatter Lillian completely. Instead, she focused on the quiet rebellion, empowering Lillian to see the truth. The turning point came on a stormy night. Theo's cries escalated again. The fixed crib helped, but the underlying tension lingered. Dexter stormed into the nursery. "Why can't you calm him, Lil? This merger is killing me. I don't need this distraction." Lillian, holding Theo, snapped back for the first time. "Distraction? He's our son." Dexter's face darkened. "Watch your tone. You're lucky I provide all this." He gestured to the opulent room, his voice low and cutting. "Without me, you'd be back in that trailer park." Zola, in the shadows, saw Lillian's hands tremble. Later, alone in the kitchen, Lillian confided, "He's always like that, making me feel small, but tonight, I recorded it." She showed Zola her phone, a voice memo capturing the exchange. "That's brave," Zola said. "What will you do with it?" Lillian hesitated. "I don't know, but I can't let Theo grow up in this." Over the next days, the fracture widened. Lillian started therapy secretly, using an app Zola recommended. She spent more time with Theo, feeding him, reading to him, her awkwardness giving way to genuine bonds. Dexter noticed, his control slipping. "What's gotten into you? We don't need changes now. The company's going public." One evening, Dexter cornered Zola in the hallway. "You're filling her head with ideas. Pack your things, you're fired." Zola stood firm. "Fire me and I'll tell everyone what I've seen. Not just the crib, the way you treat her, the toxicity seeping into Theo." Dexter's eyes narrowed. "You wouldn't. You're nothing." But Lillian emerged from the shadows. She would, and I'd back her. She held up her phone. "I have proof now of everything." Dexter blanched. "Lil, think about this. Our life. Our life is a lie. You control everything, but you don't love us. You love the image." The confrontation unfolded quietly. No dramatic court scenes, just raw words in the penthouse glow.
Dexter tried bribery, $100,000 to Zola for silence. She refused. Money can't fix a broken home.
Lillian filed for divorce the next week, using the recordings and nanny testimonies as leverage. Dexter, facing a messy public split amid his company's IPO, settled quietly. Generous alimony, the penthouse to Lillian, shared custody with conditions. But Lillian pushed further. Therapy for all, supervised visits for Dexter until he proved change. In the months that followed, the family unraveled and rebuilt. Dexter, humbled by board pressure and therapy mandates, began attending sessions. His empire didn't crumble, no FBI raids, just a dip in stock from personal issues. He learned, slowly, to be present, holding Theo without checking his phone. Lillian blossomed. She reconnected with her roots, volunteering at shelters, her depression lifting as she mothered actively. "You saved us," she told Zola one afternoon as Theo napped peacefully. Zola smiled. "You saved yourselves. I just refused to look away." Zola stayed on, not as a maid, but as a trusted caregiver. Her quiet rebellion had dismantled the facade, revealing the human fractures beneath. Theo grew, his cries replaced by laughter, in a home where love, not luxury, held sway.